Hey, it's Elisa from Getting Resourced. I hope you're doing well. I wanted to share some thoughts about a really interesting topic that comes up a lot in leadership conversations, and that's delegation. So, for a number of reasons, delegation can be a very complicated skill that takes time to learn. And very often, when people are put into a position to delegate, they don't receive the kind of training or support, and they may not have had the experience of examples of role modeling of good delegation, effective delegation. And that can be really detrimental. So, one of the things that can happen is that if we have a sense that we were performing really amazingly as an individual contributor, you're a superstar at what you do, you're really, really good at it. And so you got promoted into a people leadership position. And now delegation is part of the job. Your job is no longer to create amazing results yourself. Your job is to develop others so that you can amplify and multiply the amazing results that are created through other people. That is a whole different job. And if there is no opportunity for learning how to do that job properly, training opportunities, role modeling, mentorship, practicing is very helpful. So maybe role playing can be a good way of doing that. Are there tools? Are there strategies? Or is there a process in place for delegating effectively? That's generally not the case. And when it's not, what can happen is that with the best of intentions, you might delegate something out, and then the person that you've delegated to doesn't do the job the same way you would have done it. For a number of reasons, maybe they haven't been doing it as long. They didn't understand it the same way. They have a different approach. Any number of reasons. But the temptation then is to just take it back, take the task back and do it yourself, because it's faster if you just do it yourself, and it will get done the way that you want it to get done. It will get done to your standards. And you were really amazing at doing it. So it's just faster and more effective to just do it yourself than to take the time to teach this person, train this person, and support this person until they get as good at it as you are. The problem with this is that this is incredibly demotivating for the other person to be delegated a task and then to take the task back away from them. Also, it is not the best use of your time. So at this point, your job is no longer to be an amazing individual contributor, even though you are. So by doing the same job that someone, honestly, getting paid less than you are is doing, now you're both getting paid to do the same job. And who's doing your job? That's problematic for the organization and for you and for your team. Not to mention frustrating and a really short route to overwhelm and burnout. So, how can we avoid doing this? Well, one of the ways we can do it is if rather than thinking of delegation as a binary, so either I do it myself or I delegate it to someone else, how about we think of it as a level, a series of levels? So it's a tiered approach to delegation. So it goes from level one, which is just wait for me to tell you exactly what to do, and then do exactly what I say, exactly the way that I say it. This is not a terribly useful way of delegating. It might as well be doing it yourself at that point. So unless the building is on fire and you need to walk people out of the emergency situation, this is really not a level of delegation that you would actually want to implement. It is helpful, though, as a point of reference. So if we start with this level of delegation of just do exactly what I say, and then progress up through increasingly complex levels of delegation where, okay, now just look into this topic and come back to me with some solutions. How would you solve this problem? How do you approach this task? And then I'll give you some feedback on what I think about that and how that might or might not work, where there might be some roadblocks along the way. You might go back and, rework your idea, come back again. That's great. If we have the luxury of enough time, we can do this, and this can really help prepare this other person to succeed when they fully take on ownership of the task that you want to delegate. So thinking of delegation as a process rather than a binary on-off. So maybe there's that level of delegation where you're encouraging them to share their ideas. The next level of delegation might be, all right, go break down this task into milestones. And we're going to discuss them at these different points through these different channels. Maybe it's going to be an update in the project management system that I am expecting at this time, once a week, once a day, whatever it is. We're going to be communicating about it, and we're going to be making sure that we've got these milestones. And if there are any roadblocks along the way, we're going to identify those and discuss them and then go back, right? So making sure that that is all understood. What does good look like? What does done look like? How are we communicating about this task? How will we know the status? And what will we do if there are any roadblocks? That's really important and valuable. Sometimes it can happen that we might explain a task that we've delegated to someone. This is how we do this task. And as the person delegating, I'm thinking, great, I've explained exactly how I do the magic that I do when I phenomenally accomplish this task on my own. Goodbye. This is going to work out great. I have given all my secrets away. And yet, the recipient of this information might be feeling any number of things that we really don't have access to. So maybe they're overwhelmed, maybe they're confused, maybe they're excited, and as soon as they leave, they immediately forgot everything they heard. That is impossible to say. So when we ask, right, we check for understanding any questions for any number of reasons. Many people might hesitate to share a question. What can be more beneficial is to say, what are your thoughts? So rather than any questions, what are your thoughts can really help. And even more than that, it can be helpful to say, great. So what are the first 3 steps that you're going to take to accomplish this task? So if they have an idea, like some coherent steps to take, this is an opportunity to check for understanding and then to course correct any misunderstanding. And it's also a good way to see if maybe they actually had a ton of questions, but I mean, honestly, you may have been in the same situation as well. My head is spinning. I have no questions because I don't even know where to begin. I don't even know what to ask. So when being asked, okay, great, what are the first 3 steps that you will take to accomplish this task? That opens up the discussion a little bit more with a more concrete ask. So the person might say, oh, well, actually, I'm not sure what first step I would take. Can you walk me through that again? Or, all right, cool. So, right. So this is the conversation that you want to have ahead of time, not later on when you get the terrible surprise that they actually didn't understand the task and they didn't do a very good job of it, or they just didn't do it at all. And we're just sort of like hoping the topic would never come up again, which has absolutely happened. It has happened to me. It has happened to many leaders, and it is very frustrating and is deeply problematic. So, depending on the sensitivity of the task, wow, that can really be a problem. So, by implementing some of these strategies, you can really reduce the odds of that happening and making sure that you've got this open communication about it, and you've got a clear understanding of their understanding of the task that they're able to then accomplish. So those are a few different ways that you might think about delegation. It's a huge topic. There's a lot to discuss about it. And I'd love to hear your tips and best practices for delegation. I know that, we can easily talk about this one for days. So if you'd like to talk more about leadership topics, especially the getting resource style of leadership, like leading from the inside out, leading from within, I'd love to engage in conversation with you. So feel free to join my community. We have a membership community called Getting Resourced, which is for cultivating those resources that we need to navigate whatever comes our way at our best. And we've got another tier to the membership, which is our Resource Leaders community, where we share best practices for leading with a grounded approach so that we can navigate chaos for ourselves and for our teams at our most effective. So if you're interested in any of that, please do reach out. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments about what works for you in delegation. What are some of your delegation horror stories? I would love to hear them. Either you were delegated something in an ineffective way, or you delegated something and it did not work out the way you hoped it would. I'd love to hear all about it. I mean, at the end of the day, delegation is a beautiful gift and an opportunity for someone else to grow. And being able to do that effectively it takes time. It takes time and effort because it is a skill. So if you want to join on that journey with us, I'd love to have you join the conversation. Take very good care until next time. Bye.